The morning Mama Obinna arrived in Lagos, nothing felt normal. Not the weather, not the air, not even the silence in Nneka and Obinna's mansion. A mansion that suddenly felt too small for peace. For 1 month, the couple had been drowning. Not in poverty, not in marriage problems, but in newborn twins who refused to sleep, refused to let them breathe, refused to give them one night of rest. Every night was a war zone. One baby crying, the other joining, then both crying, competing like they were in a choir of suffering. Obinna went to work with red eyes every morning. Nneka lived in oversized gowns and headaches. They tried everything: warm baths, lullabies, rocking chairs, midnight pacing. Nothing worked. And just when they thought it couldn't get worse, Nneka had a falling out with her own mother. A loud, painful argument that happened barely 4 weeks ago. Words thrown, doors slammed, pride wounded on both sides. Since then, her mother refused to pick calls. So when Obinna saw Nneka struggling to carry both babies and nearly fainting, he knew they had only one option left. He dialed the number. "Mama, please come for Omugo." The line was silent for 3 long seconds. Then Mama Obinna laughed softly. "Now you people remember I am alive." Obinna didn't argue. He didn't beg. He simply said, "Mama, we need help." 3 days later, the earthquake landed. The gatesman had barely opened the gate when Mama Obinna marched in like a visiting senator. "Obinna, Nneka, my children, come and welcome me, oh," she shouted. She came with 3 Ghana must-go bags, a cooler full of smoked catfish, 2 mortar-sized yams, a basket of spices, and wrappers folded like war documents. Her steps were heavy, her voice louder than a church bell. And even though she was smiling, her smile carried the weight of someone who had opinions about everything. Nneka rushed out first, twins strapped to her chest. "Mama, welcome." Mama Obinna didn't answer immediately. She examined Nneka from head to toe like she was inspecting a market product. She said finally. "You are thin. Why? Are you eating or just snapping selfies?" Before Nneka could reply, Mama Obinna hugged her, kissed each twin, then pushed past her. "Carry these bags inside carefully. If anything inside breaks, your life will not contain me." Obinna came downstairs, smiling like a man who just saw hope. "Mama, my son," she replied. Then, in the same breath, "Why did you send me transport money like I'm a beggar? Next time, send the correct amount or I will send it back to you." Obinna only laughed, took the bags, and led her in. Peace arrived with her. Also, they thought. The first week was calm. Mama Obinna cooked with the skill of a seasoned village chef. The aroma of her soups filled the entire estate. Even security men greeted with new respect. She swept, she washed, she massaged the twins with hot water and practiced midnight prayers that could wake angels from sleep. Every night at exactly 4 a.m., he rang his bell. "Fire of the Holy Ghost! Any enemy around this house, die!" The twins woke crying. Nneka jumped up. Obinna groaned, but nobody complained. Not yet. Because compared to their earlier suffering, Mama Obinna was a rescue mission. For 1 whole month, everything worked. The twins slept better, the house stayed clean, food never finished, arguments reduced. Nneka told her friend one afternoon, "Honestly, I think Mama is trying. Things are calmer." Her friend laughed. Let's be watching, oh. Some mothers-in-law start softly." Nneka ignored it. She wanted peace. She needed peace. And for a moment, it felt like she had it. Until one morning, everything changed. The shift started quietly. Too quietly. Nneka walked into the kitchen one morning and found her pots arranged differently. Her spices moved, her plates rearranged, her baby bottles placed in another cupboard. "Mama, did you move things?" she asked politely. Mama Obinna didn't even turn. A woman who wants to keep a house must first keep the kitchen. Nneka blinked. "Okay, but I usually keep things where..." "That is the problem. You people of nowadays don't know how to run a house. Everything is upside down. Don't worry, I will fix it." Nneka swallowed her words. Later that afternoon, she washed baby clothes and spread them outside. 30 minutes later, she came back and saw Mama Obinna rewashing them. "Mama, but I washed these." "I know. You washed them like someone in a hurry. I am washing them like someone with sense." The sting was silent but sharp. Nneka tried to laugh it off. "Mama, it's really okay. Shh." Mama Obinna interrupted. "A lazy person talks too much. Go and rest." Lazy. The word stuck to Nneka's chest. The next day, Mama Obinna added another arrow. She sat in the living room with visitors and said loudly, "Some mothers train their daughters well. Others raise them like, let me not talk." Everyone looked at Nneka. Mama Obinna didn't mention names, but the insult was pointed like a spear. Nneka kept quiet. For days, the small comments continued, all subtle, all sharp, all targeted. Yet,
Obina didn't notice. He was barely home. Work, traffic, fatigue. Sometimes he returned after everyone slept. He only whispered goodnight, kissed the twins, and collapsed on the bed. Meanwhile, Nneka carried bitterness in silence. She bottled it, pressed it down, told herself she needed to endure Omogo. Until one evening, everything snapped. Nneka found Mama Obina rearranging her wardrobe. "Mama, please," she said, voice tight. "Don't go through my things." Mama Obina looked up calmly. "If you kept things properly, I wouldn't need to." "Mama, I didn't ask. You are lucky I'm here. Your mother didn't train you well, but I will." The words landed like a slap. And this time, Nneka broke. "Mama, stop talking about my mother." Silence. Sharp. Heavy. Dangerous. Mama Obina turned slowly, her expression darkening. "So, you are now shouting at me?" "I'm not shouting. You are shouting." The twins woke crying. A plate dropped somewhere in the kitchen, and at that exact moment, Mama Obina pulled out her phone. "Enough," she said. "I cannot handle this girl alone." She dialed a number. "Chidera, Chidima, pack your bags and come to Lagos." She paused. "Yes, come and help me control your brother's wife before she destroys this home." The bus touched down in Lagos at 7 a.m. But by the time Chidera and Chidinma arrived at the mansion, it felt like the city itself was holding its breath. Nneka had been pacing the living room since sunrise. She tried not to show it, but every second, her heart thumped like a drum, signaling war. The twins were strapped to her, fussy and goggling, as if they already knew reinforcement had arrived. When the gate finally creaked open, Nneka froze. Chidera stepped out first. Long hair, sharp eyes, a smile that hinted at secrets. Chidinma followed, shorter, broader, and louder, the kind of woman who could make a room notice her without saying a word. Both women carried large bags, stuffed to the brim, with baby clothes, snacks, and what looked like tactical gear for domestic warfare. Mama Obina jumped out of the house with a loud clap of her hands. "Finally, my children! Let's bring order to chaos." Nneka swallowed. She tried to smile. "Hello," she said quietly. Chidera's eyes scanned the house, flicking from the twins to the kitchen, then to Nneka and herself. She said. "I see why Mama called us. This place is interesting." Chidinma grinned. "Interesting? Mama, is a disaster zone. Who is running this house exactly? Your son's wife?" Nneka's hands tightened on the twins. She opened her mouth, but no words came. Mama Obina laughed. "She will learn in time, but we are here to help speed things up." And with that, the twins started crying. Louder than usual. It was as if they were announcing the arrival of new generals in the war that had quietly been simmering for weeks. Obina appeared in the hallway, looking both relieved and terrified. "Mama, girls, please, take it easy," he said, raising his hands like a referee, about to manage a brawl. Mama Obina waved him off. "Obina, stand down. Let us see who your wife really is." The first battle started immediately. Chidera wandered into the nursery, inspecting the twins. They are fine, I guess. But what's this blanket situation? I saw one inside out, one twisted. Who taught her folding?" Nneka's jaw tightened. Do not answer," Mama Obina cut in. "Observe, learn the art of patience, and recognize what is unacceptable." Chidinma had made her way to the kitchen. She picked up a spatula, sniffed the soup on the stove, and shook her head. "Salt too much, pepper not evenly spread. She cooks, but she does not conquer the kitchen." Nneka felt heat rise in her chest. The words stung, but she had learned to hold back. This was war, not argument. By noon, the mansion had changed. The twins' cries punctuated the air. The kitchen was reorganized twice. The nursery was restacked. Mama Obina sat in the living room, arms crossed, eyes sharp, each radiating authority like a storm ready to break. Obina walked past Nneka quietly, whispering, "Just survive this day. Tomorrow, it will get interesting." Nneka didn't ask what he meant. She already felt it coming. That night, after putting the twins to bed, Nneka thought she could rest, but Chidera and Chidinma weren't done. The morning arrived quietly, almost innocently. Birds chirped outside, the Lagos sun peeked through the curtains, and the mansion seemed untouched by the chaos of yesterday. Nneka thought, briefly, that maybe, just maybe, she could breathe today. She was wrong. Mama Obina, Chidera, and Chidinma had already gathered in the living room, arms crossed, eyes sharp, each radiating authority like a storm ready to break. The twins slept in the nursery, but Nneka could hear their small whimpers through the closed door, a soft reminder that she could not escape responsibility even for a second. "Mornings are for preparation," Mama Obina announced, voice booming. "Nneka, stand. There is work to be done." I just fed the twins, Mama," Nneka said cautiously. Mama Obina raised the finger. "Excuse me, my dear, but feeding does not mean running a home. Feeding is basic survival. Running a home requires precision, organization, command, obey me and you may learn it. Before Nneka could respond, Chidera interjected. Let's start with something simple. Go to the market, buy fresh fish, fresh vegetables and pepper, everything yourself. Nneka blinked. I have a maid. Chidinma cut her off, sharper than a knife. A maid? A maid is only as good as the master training her. If you cannot run a home yourself, what is the point of having help? Pack her bags. She leaves today. You do this yourself or you fail before you begin. Nneka's stomach sank. She had expected tests, but this was brutal. She nodded slowly, swallowing her pride. Yes, Mama. Obinna appeared in the hallway at that moment. His face was pale, hesitant. Nneka, maybe we can, take it slow. Mama Obinna spun toward him, voice cutting. Slow? Obinna, do you want your house to collapse around your wife? You want to teach her weakness? She will learn now or never. Obinna glanced at Nneka and whispered softly, just listen, Nneka, for peace. Mama knows best. And just like that, he disappeared back into his office. Nneka exhaled and walked to the maid's quarters. The young woman had already packed, eyes wide and worried. I didn't know it would be this way, Ma, she said quietly. I'm sorry, Nneka murmured. It's not you. I have to do this. The maid gave a small nod and left, carrying her belongings in silence. Nneka closed the door and felt the mansion shift around her, emptier, colder, heavier. She grabbed her basket and walked towards the market. Hours passed, and by the time she returned, her arms ached, twins went restless, and the basket full of fresh ingredients felt heavier than any weapon she had ever carried. Mama Obinna stood at the gate. She inspected the contents, lifted a yam, sniffed a fish, and nodded slightly. Not bad, but placement, Nneka. Do you think a house runs itself by throwing things on the floor? Nneka set down the basket carefully, trying not to let her frustration show. I'll put everything properly, Mama. Chidinma rolled her eyes. We are only halfway to the lesson. Let's see how she manages indoors. Back in the mansion, Nneka was instructed to clean, organize, cook, and even mend a few minor damages she hadn't noticed before. Each time she paused, each time she hesitated, one of the women appeared, critique ready. Too slow, too loud, too quiet, not enough attention to detail. Obinna appeared briefly around noon, carrying his briefcase. He stopped at the threshold of the kitchen, sighed, and whispered, just take it, Mama. They know what they are doing. Take it, Nneka muttered to herself. I feel like I'm being roasted alive. By evening, the mansion smelled like cooked food, washed clothes, and clean floors. But Nneka's body felt broken. Her hands were sore. Her back ached. Mama Obinna inspected her work. Chidera nodded approvingly. Chidinma hummed. Better, but do not think this is the end.
Nneka didn't think twice. She couldn't. The walls of the mansion felt smaller than ever, closing in with every command, every judgment, every whisper from Mama Obinna, and the twins' cries slicing through her sanity. That night, after feeding the babies for what felt like the 100th time, she slipped out. She left quietly, leaving the twins in the care of the household that was slowly unraveling without her. Her heart ached, but a heavier weight pressed on her chest. The realization that she couldn't survive there, not like this. By the time she reached her mother's house, her shoes were scuffed, her dress damp from rain, and her hair in tangled strands. Her mother, who had been tending the small garden outside, stopped when she saw her daughter. Child, Nneka! Her voice broke into worry and relief all at once. She rushed forward, grabbing Nneka by the shoulders, studying her face. What happened? Why do you look like this? Nneka tried to answer, but couldn't. The tears came first, long and burning, sliding down her cheeks. Her mother didn't ask more. She led her inside. Inside the modest home, her mother moved with purpose, lighting a fire, preparing water, fetching a bowl of soup she knew her daughter loved. Nneka sat down at the table and finally ate. For the first time in weeks, she felt her stomach fill without tension. She drank the warm water slowly, feeling her body remember what rest and nourishment felt like. Her mother watched quietly, letting her eat, letting her cry, letting her exist. There were no lectures, no sharp words, no judgments, just care. After she finished eating, Nneka sank onto a chair, letting her head drop into her hands. Mama, it's too much. The house, your home, I can't breathe there. Your mother-in-law, my husband, the twins, her voice cracked. I can't do it anymore. Her mother sat beside her and took her hands. Slow down, my child. Tell me everything, every single thing. And so Nneka did. She told her mother about the first days of Omugo, the chaos of trying to feed and calm two newborns alone, the subtle but constant judgment from Mama Obinna, the unsolicited advice, the rearranging, the constant micromanagement. She told her about Chidera and Chidinma, arriving like storm clouds,
each word a tiny strike against her sanity. She spoke of her husband, who avoided confrontation, who told her to be calm, to listen, to let her mother lead, to keep peace at the cost of her own comfort. By the time she finished, she was trembling. Her mother sat silently for a long moment, absorbing everything. Then, without scolding or questioning, she said simply, "My child, only you can take your home back. Only you. But if you are to do it with sense, not shouting, not anger like theirs. You must be clever. You must be patient. You must strike in a way they cannot anticipate. Understand?" Nneka nodded, feeling a spark of something she hadn't felt in weeks. Control, agency, a plan forming in the haze. Her mother wrapped her in a blanket and whispered, "For now, rest, eat, sleep, forget the phone, forget the house, forget Lagos, heal." And Nneka did. For the next week, she stayed hidden, her phone off, no calls, no messages. She ate, slept, walked through her childhood garden, and slowly let her body and mind recover. Every day, she rehearsed in her head how she would reclaim her home, not with fear, not with argument, not with yelling, but with strategy. Back at the mansion, the absence of Nneka turned every corner into a battlefield. Mama Obinna tried to manage the twins, but the baby screamed non-stop. Chidera and Chidima were frustrated, their orders and corrections failing. The kitchen became chaotic, meals went cold, utensils misplaced, the house slowly unraveling. Even Obinna, though relieved that his wife had left, could not bring order. The twins' cries pierced the walls like warning sirens. "Why won't they sleep?" Chidera exclaimed one afternoon, flopping onto the sofa, exhausted. "She was supposed to train them. She knows what they need." "They want their mother," Chidinma muttered, rubbing her temples. "This is impossible. Impossible." The mansion, once orderly under Mama Obinna's iron hand, was now on fire, metaphorically and literally in chaos, and everyone realized the balance had tipped. Meanwhile, Nneka in her mother's home felt stronger than ever. Every meal she ate, every hour she slept, every thought she processed was building her resolve. She no longer felt like a victim. She was plotting her comeback, her return not as a defeated wife, but as the rightful controller of her home. By the end of the week, she had a plan. She would return, and when she did, she would act with precision. Every move calculated, every response measured, every weakness exploited. Mama Obinna, Chidera, and Chidima would see that the woman they tried to control was no longer the same. And one truth burned in her chest louder than anything. The mansion might have been a war zone, but she was about to take it back. The next week, Nneka returned to the mansion. The drive through Lagos felt longer than it should, but each minute sharpened her resolve. She didn't call anyone. She didn't warn anyone. She didn't need to. Her plan was already in motion. As she stepped through the front gate, the air seemed to change. Mama Obinna, Chidera, and Chidima were already in the living room, sprawled on sofas like generals waiting for a fight. The moment they saw her, Chidera leapt up. "Ah! Where have you been, untrained girl? Leaving your children and husband behind, going off to God knows where." Chidima followed, her voice booming. "This is unacceptable. You cannot just run away and..." Nneka walked past them. She didn't flinch. She didn't answer. Every shout bounced off her, harmless as wind. She didn't even look at them. They backed their insults, but she ignored it all. Her first stop was the nursery. The twins were crying, small faces twisted, voices piercing the room. Nneka didn't waste time with words. She swept them into her arms, rocking them gently. She breastfed them with calm precision, whispering softly. Their cries softened, their tiny bodies relaxed. Within minutes, they were asleep, finally at peace. Nneka set them down, tucking them into their blankets. Then she went straight to the kitchen. Her eyes scanned the room, noticing everything. The misplaced spoons, the upside-down pots, the chaotic pantry. She began to rearrange everything the way she wanted. Every cabinet, every plate, every spice container was placed with deliberate care. The kitchen was no longer chaotic. It was hers. Next, she called the carpenter. "I need the lock on the kitchen door changed today. It must be done before evening, and no excuses." By afternoon, the new lock was installed. Nneka turned the key twice, listening to the satisfying click. She held the key in her hand, a small but powerful symbol. The kitchen, the heart of the home, was now under her control. Evening came. Chidera and Chidima, exhausted and hungry, made their way to the kitchen, expecting to find everything ready for them. "Where is the key?" Chidera demanded, her hand banging on the door. "We are starving. Why is the kitchen locked?" Chidima, equally frustrated, tried to reason. "Nneka, open this door. We want to eat." But Nneka didn't answer. She didn't move. She didn't even acknowledge them. Her silence was sharper than any insult. The women's shouts grew louder, but Nneka remained calm. She turned away and went to her room. Once inside, she closed the door and locked it. The sound of the key turning echoed in the quiet hallway. A small but decisive victory. Outside, Chidera and Chidima continued banging on the door. "Open this door now! This is ridiculous!" Nneka sat on her bed, listening to the chaos outside. The twins were asleep in the nursery. The kitchen was hers. She felt a quiet power rise within her. For the first time, she realized that control didn't have to come with yelling or confrontation. Silence, strategy, and patience could be stronger than any shouting match. Hours passed. The women eventually gave up, retreating to the living room with frustration written on their faces. Mama Obinna tried to intervene, but even she knew the line had been drawn. Obinna returned home later, noticing the change immediately. The twins were calm. The kitchen was immaculate. The house felt different. He approached Nneka carefully, lowering his voice. You handled this alone?" Nneka didn't answer. She simply nodded, a faint smile playing at the corner of her lips. The message was clear. The mansion was hers to manage now. That night, she lay in bed, listening to the muffled arguments in the living room. Every shout, every stomp, every frustrated word only reminded her of what she had already achieved. She had returned. She had reclaimed control, and she had done it without giving them the satisfaction of a single word. Outside, the city of Lagos continued its noise, oblivious to the quiet war being waged inside the mansion. But inside, a new order was taking shape, and no one could challenge it. Not Mama Obinna, not Chidera, not Chidima, not even her husband. Nneka closed her eyes. Tomorrow would bring more battles, more challenges. But she was ready. The silent storm had arrived, and it would not be ignored. Nneka woke up to the sound of birds outside, but in the mansion, the silence was different. It wasn't the tense, waiting for war kind of silence that had filled the house for weeks. It was calm, controlled, hers. She rubbed her eyes, glanced at the clock, then at the twins sleeping peacefully beside her. For the first time in what felt like months, she smiled. She had a plan, and she would execute it. Slowly, strategically, without shouting, without fear. The first order of business, the maid. She had left her a week ago, afraid to step into the chaos, but today she would return. Nneka picked up the phone and called her. "Chinyere," she said, her voice calm but firm. "Come back. The babies need you." On the other end, the maid stammered, clearly expecting another argument or lecture. Nneka didn't give her one. She just told her what to do, and that was enough. Within the hour, Chinyere arrived. The twins were placed in her hands, and for the first time, Nneka could breathe. She didn't have to carry them all day. She didn't have to fight the clock or the constant screaming. She had help, but the help was hers to command. That's when chaos erupted, briefly. Mama Obinna, Chidera, and Chidima had come in to check on the house. They hadn't expected Nneka to take action so fast. They expected her to stumble, to panic, to beg them for guidance. They hadn't expected authority. When they saw the maid return, their faces twisted. "Who told you to bring her back?" Chidera shouted. "You cannot just," Chidima added, pointing her finger as if that could summon obedience. Mama Obinna folded her hands. "Nneka, explain yourself." Nneka didn't. She just smiled faintly, then turned to the kitchen. Her steps were deliberate. Every move said, "I am in charge now." She washed, cut, and cooked for Obinna. Every step deliberate, precise. When she finished, she locked the kitchen door behind her. The food was ready, but the control over the space was hers. Returning to her room, she joined Chinyere to care for the twins. Their cries were soft now, peaceful, because they were in the hands of someone they trusted. Outside, the women continued to shout. Chidera slammed her hands on the walls, Chidima stomped around, Mama Obinna yelled, but Nneka ignored them completely. Hours passed. No one could reach her. No one could force her to act or respond. By mid-afternoon, reality hit Chidera and Chidima. They had no food, no power over the house, and no way to make Nneka yield. Slowly, reluctantly, they began to retreat. "We can't stay here," Chidera muttered. "They will starve us out," Chidima added. Mama Obina shook her head. Fine, leave. But this isn't over. And with that, the women left the mansion, grumbling and hungry, while Nneka remained calm. She was in control now. The house, the children, the space. Hers. She didn't need to shout or fight. She only needed to exist, and the authority she carried was enough. The twins slept in peace. The maid watched over them, and Nneka finally allowed herself to rest, knowing tomorrow the house would continue to run on her terms. The morning light spilled softly into the mansion. Nneka woke up to silence. A silence she had not known in weeks. No shouting, no pounding on doors, no Mama Obina's booming voice. Just quiet. The twins slept peacefully in their cribs, their tiny chests rising and falling in calm rhythm. For the first time in what felt like forever, Nneka could breathe. She stretched, her body aching from the week's labor, yet there was satisfaction in the ache. Every corner of the mansion reflected order. The kitchen organized the way she liked it, the nursery tidy, and even the living room radiated a quiet authority. She walked through the halls like a queen surveying her kingdom, not a woman who had fled in fear just days ago. Chinyere arrived soon after, smiling quietly. Mama, everything is calm, she said, almost in disbelief. Yes, Nneka said softly, and it will stay that way. Calm is earned. Outside, the driveway was empty. Chidera and Chidima had left with Mama Obina, retreating like soldiers who realized the battlefield was no longer theirs to command. Nneka felt no gloating, just calm satisfaction. The control had returned to the rightful owner. The door opened slowly behind her. Obina stepped in, his posture stiff, his eyes hesitant. He looked around, noticing the quiet, the order, the soft glow of peace that now filled home. Nneka. His voice was low, almost uncertain. The house, it's quiet. The children are calm. What happened? Nneka didn't answer immediately. She studied him, seeing the man who had been oblivious to the chaos for weeks. His fatigue, his ignorance, his tendency to avoid the conflict, all of it now clear in the stillness of the mansion. Obina swallowed hard. I see now. I should have... Nneka held up a hand, stopping him. You avoided it, Obina. You left everything to others. You thought peace meant silence, not action. But it doesn't. Peace requires balance, respect, awareness. He nodded slowly, guilt flickering in his eyes. I'm sorry, Nneka, for ignoring everything, for letting them, my mother, my sisters, take over, for leaving you to suffer. For the first time, Nneka felt a twinge of softness, but she didn't rush to forgive. Forgiveness, like peace, had to be earned. You see it now, Obina, and you will act differently next time. No more avoidance, no more ignoring. He nodded, his voice firm but humble. Yes, I see it. I promise. I will act. I will support you. I will not let this happen again. Nneka studied him, then slowly allowed a small, quiet smile. Not a victory smile, not a smug smile, just the acknowledgement that the first step had been taken. He had recognized the truth. The twins stirred, their tiny cries soft and familiar. Nneka picked them up, holding one in each arm. Obina stepped closer, hesitantly. Can I? You can help, Nneka said softly, her voice steady. But you follow my lead. We do this together, as a team. He nodded, and for the first time, the three of them, mother, father, children, stood in harmony. The mansion no longer felt like a battlefield. It felt like a home again. Later that day, Nneka moved through the house, checking locks, confirming that the kitchen remained under her control, and ensuring the twins' nursery was perfect. She walked past the empty spaces where Mama Obina, Chidera, and Chidima had once stood like commanders issuing orders. Their absence didn't feel like loss. It felt like freedom. Obina followed quietly, observing her precision. You really took control, he said softly. I did, Nneka replied, because no one else would. I had to. He swallowed, a mixture of admiration and shame flickering across his face. I should have noticed sooner. I should have fought with you, not against you. I should have been the husband you needed.
You will, Nneka said calmly. You will notice. You will act, and we will grow from this together. The day passed slowly.
each hour reinforcing the order Nneka had reclaimed. She prepared meals, tended to the children, and managed the house in a quiet, firm rhythm. Every step she took was deliberate. Every movement reflected authority. By evening, the mansion was filled with the soft sounds of family life. The twins slept, Obina read quietly in the living room, and Nekat sat in the nursery rocking a child gently while humming a tune only she and the babies knew. For the first time in weeks, she felt safe. She felt respected. She felt heard. And she understood something crucial. True strength didn't come from shouting, punishing, or chasing others out with anger. It came from calm authority, deliberate action, and knowing her own strength. Moral: true strength lies not in chaos or loud authority, but in calm, deliberate action and self-belief. Respect and balance in a home are earned through courage, wisdom, and standing firm in what is right. Silence, patience, and determination can reclaim what was once lost, and peace is the reward of those who act with both strategy and heart.